Hi, I'm Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. Today I want to just show you the next project I'm going to be putting on my quilting machine. This is a vintage Dresden plate quilt that I purchased. I purchased it as a completed quilt. It was tied. You can see here where the fabric has not faded. This is where the tie was. It was tied in the center of each plate with crochet cotton, and then it was stitched in the ditch around the blocks with machine stitching. Now the blades themselves are hand stitched together, but they are machine stitched to the center, and they are machine stitched down to the backing fabric, and the borders and the sashing are also machine stitched. Now I took it apart mainly because the quilt was frayed at the binding. The binding was frayed and the backing had several holes in it, and it needed to be washed, and it wasn't going to hold up to being washed the way it was. So I took it apart and discarded the backing and the batting, and I soaked it in a quilt soak, and it brightened it up. But you can see this quilt has been used quite a bit. It is faded, and but the fabrics are in pretty good shape. So I wanted to do some traditional quilting, and I did some research on vintage Dresden plate quilts, and I wanted to show you what I came across. So I want to start with the centers. One of the quilt designs that I found was a bullseye or concentric circles, and it would have 3 circles going around, which actually looks pretty good. Now this is a piece of tablecloth plastic that you can buy by the yard at the fabric store, and then I put some duct tape around the edges so that I don't accidentally draw off on the edge of my quilt with this. Okay, another design I saw was crosshatching, and the crosshatching was very simple, just 2 lines across on each direction. Another design was a circle with a flower. Sometimes the petals were round, like this. Sometimes those petals were pointed. Another thing I saw was kind of a continuous curve. Now this was on a quilt that I believe was more modern. It also had a flower in the center with pointed petals going this direction. And then another one was had 5 curves with the flower in it going towards the centers of the curves. And that's pretty close to what I found. Another one I found was on a modern quilt. I'm gonna draw a circle just as a guideline for me, but it was loops going all the way around the center. I didn't see anything like feathers, but feathers could certainly be done. You could do it as a feathered wreath, with the center being open with nothing in it, like this. And that looks nice. It gives it more of a flower look than the feather. Or you could use a wider circle and have your feathers going in to the center. And also out. There we go. But there's not a whole lot of space here. You'd have to make these feathers pretty tiny excuse me, you have to make them pretty tiny to get this to look good. And there'd be some dense quilting in there. Another thing you could do would be a spiral. A spiral feather or a spin feather. And you can make that circle bigger if you'd like. And that also looks nice. It gives a lot of coverage and it's not quite as dense as a feather wreath would be. And this design goes pretty fast. So, a lot of different ways you could do this. You could also do a narrow crosshatching. This is about a 1/2 inch apart. And that would also look nice. That would look more traditional. So anything that you put in a circular area would work good on this quilt. Now when I looked at the blades, there wasn't a whole lot of variety in the blades either in the vintage quilts. So let me show you a little bit of what I found there. One of the main things I saw was just a straight line going right up to the point of the blades, like this. And then there was the outline stitch going down around each blade. Like that. And that's pretty much all I saw as far as traditional quilting. Now on the more modern quilts, I saw a continuous curve where it just went along the seams, the inner seams, and they follow around in the ditch here. Some of them were really wide, like this. So it made kind of a secondary design as a like a petal. And then I saw more continuous curve going all the way around the blade. Now, one thing about this quilt that I didn't mention is that there's a lot of loose fabric here. If you can see this, the blades, the only way they are stitched down is right around here and right on the edge. So this is loose, and it's, you can see it's got some pleats in it, some puckering. So as I draw over it, it's giving me a little bit of trouble there. Another, let's see, another design. There was a teardrop shape just going through each of the blades, getting fairly close to the edges of the blades here, which fills that up really nicely. And then another one was more of a petal shape, like this, right in the middle of the blade. It also gives it kind of a secondary design. It makes it look like you've got another layer on top of your blades. So I think that looks really nice too. And then another one, they put a little loop at the top and coming down. I did this on my 8-pointed star quilt. This goes pretty fast. You just follow along here in your ditch. Like that. So there's a lot of different things you could do. You could also do like the wavy line. If you like to do the serpentine stitching over your quilts, you could do that and then follow along the edge and then serpentine down. So whether you want to do it traditional or if you want to do it more modern, there's a lot of different ways to quilt any block that you have. So take some time, get you some plastic. This doesn't cost very much. Buy it by the yard. And try drawing on your quilt blocks with this and come up with a design that you like. Try mix and matching. Try some modern along with some traditional and see what you like. I also wanted to show you some other blocks that I have, some blades. I bought a set of blades that are plates that are not completed. They're just the blades themselves, or the plates themselves. When I purchased these, some of them had the centers in them. Most of them did not. There were a few that did, and the center was stitched on the back and not on the front. And so these edges were turned under, like that's how this one is. These the blades are turned under here. But I wanted a more finished look. I wanted this center to be on the top. I had some of this is a vintage piece of fabric. This is a cheddar yellow that I had from another vintage quilt that I have. It's a double wedding ring quilt. It was just the top, but the backing came with it, and I had some left over the backing, so I had saved it and went ahead and used it in these. So the centers are hand appliqued down. The blades, for the most part, are machine stitched. This one here is hand stitched down, and that may be the only one I have that is completely hand stitched. There's kind of a combination. On this one is hand stitched here, but machine stitched other places, and you can see where the thread, if you can see that close enough, the thread colors are changed. Here's some pink, here's some black, and then there's some white or cream colored thread here. So the person who put this together used different threads. I don't know if she was using what she had or she thought that would match better. I don't know. But I love the fabrics that are in here. They're mostly 30s fabrics. There's a little bit of variety. This fabric, I am not real certain what this is. It almost looks like a knit, but it is not stretchy at all. There's some bark cloth in places. Most of these are cottons. And a lot of these fabrics are used throughout these blocks. There are some that are different. There's plaids, there's florals, there's polka dots, some geometrics, and even this one, she turned the piece upside down. So I thought they were real interesting. I just have to applique them down to backing, and then I'll have another quilt. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will take some time and use some audition paper or some tablecloth plastic and try out some designs. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thanks for watching.